Hello, good evening. My name is Biju Matthew, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Coppell. Mayor Wes May is unable to attend today's meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 9th, 2023, and the time is 7 p.m. We are here for the regular session of the City Council meeting, and there is a quorum present. So I will call the meeting to order. We will be convening into work session in the first floor conference room. Thank you. I did. We are ready to start.
Biju, I feel so.
Biju is missing.
Anybody want this? You're next.
No. I know. He's missing.
Just can't count on him anymore.
I'm offended. Here you go. Either one of us wants. I know, I'm like, nobody gets to sit next to me.
It's right. Okay. You all ready here? The time is 7:01 p.m. We will begin work session, and the first item on the item is discussion regarding agenda items. Council, does anyone have any questions regarding the agenda item?
I did have some some questions regarding item F on the consent agenda, and I had sent an email to Mike. Mike, you want to explain a little bit the
Sure.
the part about the library replacement and all
Okay,
that?
all right, so this evening, that item is a generator that is being replaced over at the Art Center. Just to back up, the original project was going to be a generator replacement, say that 3 times fast, generator replacement at the library. And it was budgeted, I believe, at $150,000. As they looked at the needs of the library, knowing that we had the Art Center generator, which, if you recall, like during ice storms of Erie, it basically only takes care of certain functions over at the Art Center. It doesn't take care of all the heating and the air conditioning and everything along those lines. So we couldn't open that up as a possible center for the public to use. So when looking at that, looking at the one at the Art Center generator actually can be repurposed for the library, right? So we're going to take the generator, instead of spending $150,000 on a generator at the library, that's why you have the bid before you for $185,000 over at the Art Center. The Art Center generator then is going to be moved over to the library, and it will completely power the library. So we're able to take care of 2 issues and with 1 purchase.
What's the cost on that generator for the original one?
I don't.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Yeah, you talking about at the Art Center?
Mhm.
Yeah, I do not recall.
I'm guessing it's probably less than one.
Oh, it was. I have a number in my head, but as soon as I say it, it'll be wrong. But it was less than, no, it was less than half.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I actually have the same question.
Right.
Why work? I thought we already have one, and just wondered what was going on.
We do. That was the purpose.
So this one becomes adequate to, even if we're not using it as a warming center, to protect any water damage that might occur.
Absolutely, right.
If it gets
That's
below
correct, right.
freezing in there.
Yes,
And that's such a huge investment for the community.
right. That's
You
correct.
have
Yes, sir.
high dollar finishes and stuff like that. Makes more than enough sense. That's all.
John?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just had a question on B. I was looking at it and then, let me go back real quick. D?
D, are you saying D boy?
D.
D dog. Okay.
Um, I know it's just that you guys put out their request for proposal on a bid sync. Is that where we normally put out and then we only got one bid?
Yes, yes, it is where we normally put it out. It was advertised in the same way that we do all of our bids, and we did only get one bid.
And then we don't do any other way of bid, advertising other than the bid sync?
Right. And we were happy with the bid that we did get.
Okay. I was wondering, because I thought we all, are local, I don't know if there is any local, but are they also able to access the bid sync if
Yes.
they were interested? Okay. Okay. That's all I had, question on that one. And then, I had a question also on B.
B as in boy.
B as in boy now. Can we, so I know it was, last time during the regular session, it was passed 4-3, and can you explain a little more about this? What?
Yeah, the best way I describe it, others can describe it probably better than I can, but you've held the public hearing, you voted, and you have approved the rezoning of the property. The way our system is set up is that the ordinance then gets drafted to represent whatever it is that the council approves. That is the ordinance that then is in your packet, and that all you're voting on is a procedural, this ordinance represents what we approved. So every rezoning that you've seen since you've been on the council, the following meeting has had an ordinance for rezoning, and that's what you've been approving each time.
Okay. Okay. What's been approved is approved, but just the rezoning is what this part is basically.
Yeah, this is the rezoning ordinance that supports the actions that you took last meeting.
Okay. So Mary, if we could just go ahead and pull that separately during the consent agenda, I think that would be great. Or Mayor Pro Tem. We call you Mayor.
You want to pull it for a separate vote?
Yep.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions with the agenda item? I see nobody else. Yes. So we can move on to agenda item B, discussion related to service organization funding request. I believe Jessica Almendas will present the item. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council. My name is Jessica Menders. Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council. My name is Jessica Menders. I'm the Budget Officer for the City of Coppell. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. This evening, the purpose of this agenda item is 1, to provide you with information concerning the service organizations that submitted a grant request for funding in fiscal year 24. 2, to identify which organizations would be required to present at the budget workshop in July based on the council's guidelines. And 3, to determine if council would like to add or remove service organizations from the presentation list. I will be referencing the memo in the council packet. If anyone needs a copy, please let me know and Vanessa can hand a copy to you. Does anybody need a copy?
Yes.
Mike, did you need a copy?
No, I was just, I have one.
Okay, awesome, yeah.
I was helping.
Thank you for having those available.
The Special Funding Service Organizations application occurs once a year with an effort to help critical social service needs, arts and culture, partnerships, and special interest organizations that assist the City of Coppell residents. This year, we opened the application period from April 3rd to April 28th and received a total of 15 applications. Of the organizations that applied, 13 met the criteria outlined in the council memo dated August 30th, 2016, to present the request at a budget workshop in July. The remaining organizations qualify to receive funding. However, they are not required to provide a presentation under the same criteria. In your packets, you will find a list of the organizations that applied for funding. The memo included in your packet includes 13 organizations that need to present in the budget workshop in July, again, based on the same criteria outlined in the 2016 council memo. Next to the organization's name, we have identified if the application is a new request, it's increasing the requested funding amount, or any request over $10,000. It is worth noting that some of the 13 organizations are simply listed because they are requesting more than $10,000, even though they are not requesting an increase in their current funding level. And we are here this evening to receive Mayor and Council's direction concerning which organizations you would like to have provide you a presentation at the July's budget workshop. At this time, I would also be more than happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Council, any questions? Or Jessica?
So I think just to clarify,
Yes.
what you're looking for is direction on whether, I guess, based on our previous direction, it was anything over 10 or new, we would then have them come and present. And so now the question is, we've got 13, which is a lot, right?
It
So
is.
do we proceed with those 13 based on the last requirement, I guess the list of requirements we had, or do we want to alter that for this particular situation?
Correct. So just
Okay.
guidance on what
Okay.
organizations you want to present to you in the budget workshop in July.
Perfect, thank you, okay.
Cheating on my paper.
Just preparing notes like you're in high school.
So I'll start, I guess. I don't see this as being black and white, so I'll start with that, because, there are organizations on this list that are asking for over 10 that I think as a council, I guess I can only speak for myself, we've heard from them, we've many times. So I'll just give an example. MetroCrest Services, right? We know who they are, we know what they do, we know how they service. And so even though they're asking for over 10, and they're not new, like, I personally would not need to see MetroCrest again, right?
So while looking at the MetroCrest there, we allocated 135,000 last year. It's the
Right.
same request this year, so they're not asking for more.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so right, it's the same one,
Okay.
right. So maybe that's a way to parse it down is they're over 10, but if they're asking for the same, where does that, maybe what does that list look like, no?
Yes.
It's not a,
It's not black and
it's
white.
not a criteria that
Okay.
throws them out.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why,
I-
that's why the question is,
Yeah.
do you want to see them again?
Right. So, I think what Brianna was kind of saying was, even though they're over 10, correct me if I'm wrong,
Right.
but if it's the same amount, I don't think there's a need to see them and hear it again, right?
Right, that's right.
So,
Yeah, that's your prerogative.
right. So I'm with her on that part. But, for example, Children's Advocacy Center, that's like almost double. So, something like that, I'd like to hear what has changed.
Which one is it?
Children's Advocacy Center, Denton County.
Yeah, like why the increase, why double?
It's like double. Same thing with the Assistant League of Coppell, double, right? Ballet Ensemble actually didn't ask for any last year, but they were asking for more than what they have asked previously, 10,000. Community
Why
Theater
is
haven't asked, this is the first time they're asking for 12,000.
YMCA is actually asking for less, so,
I didn't hear, well, that's because that was one time,
right,
$10,000.
right, yeah, you're right, yeah.
And then, the Coppell Historical Museum is also asking for an increase, right? I'm trying to remember whether, what was that the deal that we talked about last time? Or,
I believe that when Chris came and presented, she did say she would be asking, I'm gonna say basically the same. I don't know what the number was gonna be, but she said for the first couple of years, probably so, then after that, the original amount, but from what I remember, she envisioned stepping back.
I believe she said after 2
About 2
years.
years?
And then, is what if I remember on that.
Because there was, she talked about once getting the designation for X, she could start accessing grants.
but I would like to see where they are. So I'd like to hear an update on them, to see where they are.
So, can I just say this? If we hear each one of you saying, I'd like this individually, this individually, this individually, we won't necessarily know where we
Sure.
ended up.
Right.
So,
We need a consensus.
yeah, and however, whatever order you'd like to do that, but
Wait,
I agree.
can we go
Yeah.
and strike out the ones that we don't need to?
Right.
'Cause, like,
May I suggest that we go down the list?
I think Don raised his hand first. Don.
Well, sure,
Right,
proceed.
you saw that you were gonna speak if you wanted to.
So I guess going down the list may make sense. I approached it, I got the list down to 4 just personally, but I sort of focused on, there was a couple of new ones that we had never heard of before, so those, I certainly think those merit hearing. The museum, because there is this ongoing sort of thing, you know, that's a in progress thing. And then CCA actually, it's only a $5,000 increase, but it's taken them to 20,000, so I sort of honed in on that one. That's $42,000 out of a $48,000 increase. So I feel like that gave us like a big chunk of what the increase was. A lot of the others are, I would say, de minimis amounts if they're increasing, if they're being increased. So I guess that's my thought on how to sort of hone it down on the, you know, the ones. If it's not a material number, let's focus on the ones that, you know, have a story that needs to be told, or we need an update or something like that. But even, quite frankly, I mean, I certainly understand the point on advocacy. That's like doubling, but it's a relatively de minimis amount, and we sort of know what they do.
what
So
were your 4?
CCA, the theater, the museum, and the nature park.
Okay.
Those happen to be my 4.
Kevin,
I had 3. I had the theater, the museum, and the nature park.
John, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned children's advocacy. They are the ask is doubled, but the existing process is, if anything over 10,000 is what we ask them to come back and do the presentation.
Or if they increase from what they asked last year, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. I honestly, as I look at this, and I think this is just because I've been around this table for a while, like, none of the ones that say new are really new to me. In a sense, I feel like we've heard from them before in some way, shape, or another, like even Friends of Coppell Nature Park, as well as the theater, because when they were, before they were in the art center, the theater. So I actually don't see these as new. I was more interested in the 4 that had increased request. And for me, that was assistance league, advocacy, community, CCA, and corral. Only for me is just understanding why the increase. And is this a one-time, is this ongoing? Like, I just wanted to kind of understand that.
Yeah, Mark.
Seeing that we'll have a new council member, and some of you guys have never heard from any of these groups. Yeah, I think it's important that you guys hear some of these. And obviously, Brianna and I have been around for a little while, so we've heard from a lot of these. And you know, quite honestly, the majority of them, I don't have any issue with. But I'm concerned about you guys and Jim coming on, not having heard. And but then again, you guys can make up your own decision here. But I'm trying to advocate for Jim.
Oh, yeah.
I actually like that
That's
part,
fair.
because it's a,
So we're listening to all of them?
well, y'all, I mean, decide how you want, but I
Load 'em up.
actually like that, Mark. It is a lot, but I think there's always an well, there was a time when we used to hear them all, right? And so, and then that's how you get to know what services they provide to the community and what portion of the community, like, I think it's educational.
So can I suggest something? I'll go through each one of them.
Okay.
And you guys can strike out some of them you don't want to listen to. Start with the bottom, YMCA. They are asking 10,000 less, so do we need to hear from them? No. Okay. The next one is Move and Health Clinic. They're asking the same, so we don't need to hear that. The Family Place.
Nothing.
Okay.
They're not.
Metro Trust.
No.
No.
And the Friends of Coppell Nature Park.
I would like to hear.
I would
You
like
want
to
to
hear
hear
that.
that? Mark, Brianna, okay. So
Yeah.
you have that,
I
okay.
do.
And the next one is Coppell Historical Museum.
I like
Yes,
this.
I would like to hear them.
Okay. And Coppell Historical Society.
No.
No? Okay. Coppell Community Theater.
I like this.
Yes.
Yes. Coppell Community Orchestra.
No.
They're asking less. No, okay. Coppell Community Chorale.
I like it.
Like to hear? Anybody else?
Nobody else?
I would, just because of the increase request.
Okay.
Is that-
Yes,
Yeah.
Mark? Okay.
Is that a yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like 4 we have.
Okay, all right.
Or at least 3.
Yeah.
They sing.
I did not say that.
All right, Coppell Chamber of Commerce,
No.
No, it's the same.
Coppell Arts Council,
No.
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 Christian Community Action. They are asking $5,000 more.
If you feel it, speak up.
No consensus here?
Well,
I say no.
They're doing what they do. so-
Uh-huh.
But just going back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
TCA, yeah,
Part of that too, and just to get an update.
as to
on-
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes to that?
Yeah.
Increase request, yeah.
Anybody else? I have 2 hands
Yes.
up.
Yes.
3.
That's fine.
Okay.
You can
Fellow.
vote. You can
Oh,
vote.
yeah.
You have a voice.
Yeah.
Please, thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. The one next is the Children's Advocacy.
Yes.
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 No.
Ballet of
Ensemble.
Texas, $10,000. They didn't ask anything last year.
Yeah, but they also did increase from previous years.
Just remember, the total is 400 or $500,000. That's the total items. We're going to be listening to all this.
Missed the deadline last year, sorry.
I say no.
Did they
Yes
miss
or
the
no?
deadline?
I say no.
No?
I would say no,
No.
ballet.
No, okay. No. Yes, no, okay.
No.
No.
Okay.
Assistance League of Coppell, they're asking for 5,000.
Oh.
No? No, okay, so we are what, 7?
We have, so I can go down the list to
They're right,
verify. I have
Yep.
Children's Advocacy Center. I have Coppell Community Chorale. I have Coppell Community Theater, Coppell Historical Museum, Friends of Coppell Nature Park, and that is it.
I had Christian Community Action.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
missed that one. Christian Community Action. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. That's good.
We've all checked on ourselves.
All right,
I
that's,
Six.
I have a question also. On the subcommittee memo, just had a question on that one.
Uh-huh.
When we look at the funding needs and funding wants, the list of groups, there's also Coppell Special Olympics. Have they ever applied before, or they just never applied, they were just on the list? or-
I'm looking over your shoulder. Since 2012, I haven't had the Special Olympics, or we haven't had the Special Olympics.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear this question. Sorry.
Coppell Special Olympics.
Mhm.
Apparently, in the past, they had asked for, I'm remembering a story that I think they were having like some special event, and so it was to help sponsor some of those kids for that particular interest, and it was like a one-time ask, but that was many, many years ago.
And they
So
never asked?
they, to my knowledge, they've never asked, not since 2012, that I'm aware of.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw the list, but
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing them asking for.
yeah, I mean, and again, you look who was on the committee at the time, you know, and they had a memory that went farther back as far as what it went.
Yeah.
Quick question. For the ones that we're going to do, if there's any background history that can be provided to council members, especially our new council member, I'm wondering if that is
They
something
have
that we can do.
the packet of information when they make an
Okay.
application has their history, has their financials, has their service to Coppell
Right.
residents.
And the only reason I ask is I'm thinking of, in particular, I was thinking of like Friends of Coppell Nature Park, because I know there's been money that we've provided in the past, how they came about, and then, I mean,
When Beck was built,
yeah.
okay.
If that's all in there, that's fine, I was just
I don't
saying.
know, I don't know that the Beck information is gonna be in there back from the time that it was put together.
I just didn't know if there was anything in there just to provide everyone the opportunity to just level set on that information.
Well,
If that's too much to ask, I'm just, I don't know.
No, we will be more than glad to provide the
Okay.
documentation. Part of the packet will be provided, we'll provide the applications, the
Okay.
historical funding information, and we'll be
I
glad
know
to do
there
some
was some money
research.
that we gave up front, and that's just honestly for historical information, nothing else. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Provide that.
I think that's really the only one. Sorry. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So the time is 7:28 PM and we are at the end of the work session. We'll move into the council chambers for regular session at 7. Well, you want 5 minutes break?
Yes.
Okay. So 7:35.
7:35.
Tell Wes that's the.
All councilmen to the podium. All councilmen to the dais, please. Mayor Pro Tem asked me to say that.
Good evening. Welcome to City Council meeting. The time is 7:35 p.m. We will move into regular session. Just a reminder, persons wishing to speak during citizens' appearance or the public hearings must sign up the appropriate register outside the council chambers and list their address. Tonight, we have Patty Weber to do the invocation, and please rise for the invocation, and we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance after the invocation, so please remain standing. Thank you.
God, we come before you today to ask blessings on the city of Coppell and its leadership. Coppell is a community rich with diverse faiths, cultures, and races. God of all names and every faith, we ask you to bless and guide our leaders as they make choices that will impact our city and its people. Help us to be a welcoming community that cherishes and values all of our citizens, and help our leaders to see and create a vision that leads us to that goal. Lord, we also ask for peace and blessings for everyone affected by the shooting in Allen. We ask you to bring grace and peace to all of those families and that community. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Agenda item number 5, recognition of Coppell High School girls basketball run to the state championship tournament. On behalf of the City Council, we would like to congratulate the girls varsity basketball team for their run to the state tournament. As I call your name, please come and accept your certificate, and please stay around here so that we can take a picture at the end. All right? Alicia Porter. Atia Medinica. Berlin Engelhardt. Ila Spiller. Congratulations. Jade Davis. Congratulations. Juliana Lemendola. Congratulations. Landry Scherer. Congratulations. London Harper. Macy Mercer. Congratulations. Nadine Eugene. Congratulations. Mia Trello. Nave Watson. Congratulations. Saya Patel. Congratulations. Beverly Hassan. Council, any comments? Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Ladies, congratulations. What a heck of a run, right? I will say that it was so exciting to follow you guys and watch the run, the historic run that you guys made to the finals there at the very end. And I just wish there was a little bit different outcome there at the end. So close there at the very end. But what was great was your journey, your experience. It really brought the community together, and I know the community was rallied behind you guys, and we were cheering for you guys all the way from here while you guys were down there at the tournament. So on behalf of the City Council, on behalf of Coppell ISD, all the community, we just want to say thank you so much for your tenacity, your amazing effort, your hard work. You made all of us proud. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Dawn.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. They often say that athletics is the front door to a school or to a city, and y'all made the porch look great this year. So thank you very much for what you did. I have 3 daughters, so there was a house full of exciting times listening to y'all play every week and everything. So thank you very much for what you've done.
Thank you, Councilman Dawn Carroll. I know the Coach Murphy is here. Could you please come forward? Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I was very prepared for this moment. So, no, I just, they said it, you know, it was fun watching the community really rally behind us. And I just, the work that these girls put in, a lot of it goes unnoticed and unrecognized. And it was really exciting to see the community show their support and start to acknowledge all that these girls accomplished. So I just want to thank all you guys for that as well.
Thank you very much. Could you come forward so we can take a picture? So you too, Coach. Okay. Okay. Okay, come close. Oh, thank you. Thank you all for coming. We'll give them a few minutes. Okay, agenda item number 6 is consider approval of a proclamation designating the month of May as the Building Safety Month and authorizing the mayor to sign. Invite, please, Steve Schubert from Chief Building Officer. Yeah. A proclamation here. Whereas our city is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on safety, essential role our homes, buildings and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in our resilience of these buildings that make up our communities achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians and dedicated members of International Code Council, a non-profit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern buildings codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our law code officials who assures us for safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas it starts with you, the theme for Building Safety Month 2023 encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as the Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join us as we celebrate Building Safety Month. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of City of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of May 2023. Obviously, Mayor West already signed this. I'm going to hand deliver to our building inspector and chief official here in motion from the council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move to approve a proclamation designating the month of May as Building Safety Month and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Seconded by Council Member Kevin Nevels. All approve?
Long, Kenosa Smith, Carol Nevels, John, Mayor Pro Tem. Matthew Hill in favor. None opposed. The motion carries.
Thanks for reminding me. I get to vote. Here you go. You want to take a picture, anybody? Here. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely, I'd love to. In as much as Building Safety Month is just this month, we really try to focus on it year-round. The whole focus of this month, though, is to remind us, not just the building officials, but also our citizens, that this is a group effort. This is something that we're all supposed to be working to together. Each week has a different theme. Last week was building safety at home. Things such as making sure that you've got the correct type of fire extinguisher in your kitchen. Simplistic things that can actually save your house. This week is your building official and you. That would be my team and I. We're right next door, Building 265. If anybody has any questions, anything like that, we're there every single day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just swing on by. We're happy to answer any questions. Next week is going to be the theme is your own home, what you do in your own home and in your own neighborhood. The following week is to advocate for your neighborhood. Actually come here to City Council or come to us over at 265 and talk to us about how we can help you and your community to have safer homes. The week after that is actually a global initiative that is a worldwide concept of building safety. This year's focus, though, is on water conservation. You know, it's one of our most fleeting resources that we have is potable water. And that's the whole theme of these for this week. We will actually have a day not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, Saturday the 20th. We'll be right down at Jabo's Hardware from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. out in the parking lot with a nice little table and lots of pamphlets, pencils, and all sorts of cool stuff to give out. Anybody's more than welcome to swing on by and ask us any questions. We'll answer anything to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't ask any council members have any comments. Council Member Bianna Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to say thank you to you and your team, and I know that safety is at the core of what we do in our city, and so I appreciate all the time, effort, commitment, and passion that goes into what you all do each and every single day. I love the themes that y'all have. I know that at one point I didn't have the right, I didn't have a working fire extinguisher and was able to get one from the group. And so all that to say is, I love that you guys go above and beyond to make sure that safety remains a top priority for all of our citizens in our community. So just want to say thank you.
Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
No, again, thank you so much for everything you do. I just kind of wanted to share, I had a citizen reach out yesterday with just some, some confusion about, a fence, if you will, and just the responsiveness of the entire department and you and your crew just to be able to get them the information that they need so they can be, so they understand what they need to do. I think that's reflective of the type of customer service that you offer all of our citizens. And I hear comments all the time. People come through our community about, wow, how beautiful it looks. And yes, while the exterior is important, we want it to look nice, but knowing that we've got a great team that's going to make sure our buildings are safe, that our citizens are safe, that's reassuring to the citizens of Coppell. So thank you so much for all your department, the entire group that they do. Just appreciate all your efforts on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you very much for your service. Next item is also a proclamation. I request members of the Corps, Trinity, Coppell, and the team to come forward, please. Oh, wow. We have mascot too. Yeah. Come forward.
A little slower.
This way. Looking good here. Item number 7 is consider the approval of a proclamation celebrating the month of May as National Water Safety Month and authorizing the mayor to sign. Whereas the citizens of Coppell recognize the vital role that swimming and aquatic-related activities relate to good physical and mental health and enhance the quality of life for all people, and whereas the citizens of Coppell understand the essential role that education regarding the topic of water safety plays in preventing drowning and recreational water-related injuries, and whereas the city of Coppell is aware of the contributions made by the recreational water industry in developing safe swimming facilities, aquatic programs, home pools and spas, and related to activities providing healthy place to recreate, learn and grow, confidence and sense of self-worth, which contributes to the quality of life in our community. And whereas the citizens of Coppell recognize the ongoing efforts and the commitments to educate the public on pool and spa safety issues, and whereas the Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, has proclaimed May to be the Water Safety Month, and whereas the citizens of Coppell understand the vital importance of communicating water safety rules and programs to individuals of all ages, whether owners of private pools, users of public swimming facilities, or visitors to water parks. Now therefore I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim the month of May as National Water Safety Month. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of City of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of May, 2023. Council. Councilmember Brianna Hines-Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move to approve a proclamation celebrating the month of May as National Water Safety Month and authorizing the mayor to sign.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I need a second. I was jumping. I have Councilmember Cliff Long here. Seconded now. All in favor?
Longino Smith, Carol Neville's Jen, Matthew Hill in favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the council? Council member.
Love, love, love the water safety mascot. Yay, thank you for being here. No, just want to say, honestly, thank you for our entire team. And I love that May is, I guess, is a safety month, and I'm sure we'll talk about all the things that you guys are doing to ensure water safety. But I know there's a lot that happens on the educational side. I understand that recently, maybe it was like last weekend, y'all had your lifeguards out for training, and right, was that all of you? Yeah, okay. See, yay, so y'all are ready to go, and so, but again, you then make it thank you guys for all that you do, because then you make it a safe place for everybody to come out and enjoy, and so we depend on you, and we appreciate it, and we know that we, can be out there, and that you guys will take care of everybody. So really appreciate all that you're doing, and appreciate everything that the staff is doing in honor of National Water Safety Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? After talking to city manager, he's still looking for lifeguards, right?
Actually, we are going to open on time through the entire summer because everybody's going to stick with us. It's we're in a different place than we were last summer.
Okay,
So,
that's
yes,
good to hear.
yeah.
Trinity, would you like to say a few words?
Hello, Water Safety Month. We are all about water safety at the core, obviously. So I've brought along a few of my swim instructors tonight. They're teaching some of our water safety lessons. They actually started last night, and we have about 50 participants in our water safety lessons, ranging from the age of 3 all the way up through our adults. So it's really great to have these people who maybe have never had a chance to have swim lessons before, who can come and take swim lessons with us right before summer starts. And then we also have some water safety packets that will be going out to our most recently built pools. Our stuff is in print right now, so I'm really excited to get those out to the people of Coppell so that they can be safe at home and not just with our swim instructors and our lifeguards. So thank you so much.
Take a picture together.
Okay, we're a pretty small group.
Thank you. Item number 8 is citizens' appearance. Persons wishing to speak must sign the register and list their address. Presentations by individuals shall be limited to 2 minutes each. An individual speaker's time may be extended for additional 2 minutes with the approval of majority of the council members present. Persons signed up to speak will be called in the order that they signed up. No personal attacks by any speaker shall be made against any member of council, mayor, individual, group, or corporation. There will be no comments or deliberation from the City Council due to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Once the timer sounds at 2 minutes, the City Secretary will cut and break in and make the request to the Mayor and City Council if they would like to extend the speaker's time to an additional 2 minutes. We do have speakers signed up to speak today. I will go by the order that we have signed up. Please come forward, Phil LaBerge, and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Phil LaBerge, 858 Down Alley Lane, Coppell, Texas, Coppell Greens. I'd like to ask for an additional 2 minutes up front, if I might get it. Great. Thank you. This is just a follow-up presentation from the last council meeting and the work session where we were discussing the Veterans Memorial and possibly having a design competition. I handed out a pamphlet before where I went through and did some examples of a design competition launch announcement, a strategic plan schedule, a competition brief, and a design competition rules document, just for you to get an idea of what it would actually look like and how we would go about it. The cover sheet that I had has a couple of boxes on it. First box is site selection. Probably the biggest decision that we have to make is where we would want to put this. And I really believe that this is not just a decision for a few veterans or a few citizens or some people to make. It's a decision that needs to involve the City Council and really affects all the citizens in the City of Coppell. It also affects the Chamber of Commerce because it may be a major attraction for our city that would draw people to the city. So we really need to, as a council, and as a city, we need to decide if this is a smaller veterans plaza that we put behind City Hall, or is it a larger, much more visible Veterans Memorial that we place in Andy Brown Park where lots of people would see it, or some other location. I think that's one of the fundamental decisions that somehow we need to make. I also have 3 other boxes here. One's for the design competition, one for fundraising, and one for construction. The way I see that this would work is the design competition itself would be managed by a Coppell Veterans Memorial Organization, which would have a jury of some distinguished people, which would possibly the Dean of Architecture at UT Arlington, some veterans, the community experiences people, and then some people like myself on that would review the submissions and help decide on awarding it. We'd also have a separate fundraising campaign that would have to be done under a 501(c). One way to do it would be to use the Historical Museum's 501(c), or we could have a separate 501(c) that we could establish. And then construction itself would be done by Community Experiences. They would let the contracts, they would supervise and schedule the work. I had the opportunity to talk to 2 people today. I talked to Bob Hapst, who was the head of the Kearney, Nebraska Veterans Memorial that I mentioned to you last time. They had a city contributed $500K to their project, and they raised another $1.6 million to bring it to $2.1 million. What he said to me was that you really need to be passionate about what you do, and you really need to be the squeaky wheel. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm very passionate about this, and I'm trying to show you a way that we could come up with a design that would be exceptional by having a design competition, by fundraising, and then using the expertise of the Community Experience Department to build it. I also talked to somebody, talked to my doctor who's a veteran who is passionate about having it at Andy Brown Park because he believes it needs to be in a place that's very public. Also, I talked today to Michelle LaFontaine, who is one of the vets on the focus group, and she's passionate about not having it at Andy Brown Park, having it behind City Hall.
Mr. Liburts, your time is up.
So there really are different viewpoints on where this should be.
Could you please wrap it up?
How big it should be, but that's really a decision that you need to make. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Barbara Bailey. Could you please come forward? Welcome. Could you please state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Barbara Bailey, 232 Plantation.
The City Council approved plans for the Plantation Road in March of 2021, and the mayor and several of the current city council members, and Kent Collins and Mike Land, are signed on. Their names are all over the plans. The plans changed the radius of the corners by increasing the radius quite a lot, and by doing this, the city made a problem where the 60 feet of right-of-way that was located along the street ended up. They took some of it from the corners they used to have a smaller radius, and they took that and gave it to the street instead of having it up in the sidewalk area. And what that did is that reduced the amount of right-of-way at those corners. And the city did that. They made the plans to take the right-of-way that was up in the air by the sidewalk, and they put it in the street. And this is I'm going to read something to you. One of the common pedestrian crash types involve pedestrians who are struck by a right-turning vehicle at an intersection. A wide curb radius typically results in high-speed turning movements by motorists. Reconstructing the turning radius at a tighter turn will reduce turning speed, shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians, and also reduce sight distance between pedestrians and motorists. They are less safe by many things, not just the flares that I talk about, the flare sides I talk about, but the city took the footage and put it in the street, and then says they don't have the room to make the sidewalks safe. And I really think you should rethink this. That's what happened. When somebody gets up there and says they don't have the space, is because they took it and put it in the street, and those with the giant radiuses they put on there. And also, the city still talks about the directional ADA curbs. That's not the problem. The problem is the sides of the curb ramps and the way the city designed the streets. They put more stuff in the street, less than the other. And I also was going to talk about taxes, if you will let me do that.
Yes, sure. I see you signed up for another
Yeah, I signed up twice.
subject. Yeah,
And
please, go ahead.
Before you start me, let me get I have a couple of things to give to y'all. I don't want to forget to do it because as much as I come, it makes me nervous anyway. So I'm going to tear those off. So I have diagrams to give you about the turning radius stuff that I was going to hand in. This one. That's right. It's this one and this one. Okay. This and that. All right. About the budget, because I went to that meeting. I really think the city needs to reconsider the proposed 12%, almost 12% increase. And there's ways they can save money that aren't going to harm anybody. And first of all, are probably going into a recession, and there's a lot of people that are having financial difficulties, and I think the city should be concerned about the residents that are in that state by not increasing the taxes. And it does appear that, there should be more concern about the citizens and not hiring more employees and all that stuff that I listened to at the budget thing. Also, the third, there needs to be more oversight about the expenditures because, I know a lot about the curbs now, right? Because I come about it all the time. And there are so many ways, to save money. For the sidewalk mid-block curbs that the city put in, those we ended up spending $1,100 on instead of the original $500. And then the Plantation has, I think, Plantation of 8 of those. And then the corners installed with the traffic islands and the return curbs and all that on the other sides of the street. Those cost 2 to 4 times the amount of money. And the flares are the ones that are recommended and ADA compliant. So I don't understand why this is such a big deal. And when they talk about those, they talk about them as they don't give you all the information. That's all I'm going to say. And then the other thing is the turning radius. The document that I have says you can save up to $20,000 per corner. That's over $250,000 just on Plantation. Just on Plantation. By making it safer, having a smaller radius on the corner solves all the problem about path of travel and all that kind of stuff. And I really think there needs to be more
stuff looked at that, and I had something else, but my time is up. But anyway, I think there should be more oversight about the money and the safety. I'm going to get my pen.
Thank you for your comments.
And I'm turning in, this is from your, the thing about road design, about the corners, and this is part of your design plan. It was approved. Thanks.
No one else is signed up to speak. Anyone else? Is anybody else? No, I don't see anyone else. We'll move to the next agenda item. It's a consent agenda item number 9. Consent agenda item is routine in nature and generally enacted in one motion. These items have been previously approved through the budget or past council actions. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. From the work session, Councilmember John June asked to pull item number B for a separate vote. Anyone else in the council, anyone needs to pull any other items out of the consent agenda? Councilmember Kevin Nells.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move to approve consent agenda items A and C through F.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, we need a second. Councilmember Mark Hill seconded. All in favor?
Long, Kenosa Smith, Carol Neville's John, Matthew Hill in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Councilmember John June, do you want a presentation on item number B, or you have any questions?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. No, I don't have any question or comment. It's just that I know we had a split vote last time when this issue came up. I know that we're just talking about the zoning change on this matter, so I just wanted to go ahead and have that vote separately.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just want to be clear that agenda item B, we have already voted and City Council has approved that. And this is just the almost like dotting the i's and crossing the t's. It's writing the ordinance and fulfilling that part of this is an administrative piece. And am I just want to make sure I'm saying that correctly about what we're doing here on this.
That's correct. It's procedural.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification.
I have a question for Mary. So as I was reading the modified version of the ordinance on section 2, it says the historical society or historical district is where we are placing these units. Are we changing that plat out of the historical district?
No, so it's still in the historic district. It's just a planned development within the historic district,
So
like everything else in the in that general area.
So they have to abide by all the rules of historical district going
So-
forward, even though they have planned development there?
So the planned development is their rules and regulations. It supersedes. So they have to go by what's in the ordinance, and that's why there is a planned development.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Councilmember Mark Hill.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda item 9B.
We have a second. We have a Councilmember Don Carroll seconded. All in favor?
Long, Kenosa, Carol Neville's Hill opposed. Matthew and John, the motion carries.
I'm next.
So I'm sorry, my bad. I even called for this. You have a presentation to go, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, my bad. Item number, oh, this is, no, that's, yeah, item number 10.
I could read it into the record if you like.
Okay, yeah, please.
Yes, sir. So item number 10 is a public hearing. Consider approval of amending definitions and text change to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Article 30, S or special use permits, defining and establishing special use permit requirements for lodging houses, including short-term rentals, STRs, bed and breakfasts, boarding homes, hostels, vacation homes, and corporate housing within the SF7, SF9, SF12, SF18, SFED, and H districts.
So I made a mistake. I should have gone through asking the council members' comments first, and we also have person signed it to speak, so therefore I have something to read.
Oh, because Mary needs to do her presentation.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Okay. So thank you for letting me present this evening. This is item 10. The City of Coppell has a robust short-term rental ordinance. However, the biggest complaint we get from the public is that they have no say in the STR process. They are only notified after the STR has been approved. The proposed changes would allow for a public hearing, neighborhood engagement, essentially more transparency in the process. This is why we are proposing to add STRs to the special use permit section of the zoning ordinance. So if you recall, in October, November, and December of 2022, the council consulted with the city attorney in executive session to discuss STRs and adding it to the zoning ordinance by spring of 2023. And this is what we're presenting to you this evening. So currently, the STRs exist in its own ordinance outside of the zoning ordinance. Just to give you some history, the first short-term rental ordinance was passed by City Council on June 12, 2018. At the time the ordinance was approved, staff was still learning about short-term rentals and knew that the ordinance would need to be reviewed and updated. Over the last few years, the short-term rental ordinance has evolved and modifications made, with this proposal being the next evolution that would allow more neighborhood engagement and transparency in the process. The last change that we had was on December 13th of 2022, where City Council approved an ordinance that provides homeowners with two options to use their homes as short-term rental properties. The ordinance changes also included a new definition for short-term rental that includes pools, garages, and outdoor structures. So what are we doing and why? Since the executive session in October of 2022, staff has been working on creating a new section to the special use permit process of the zoning ordinance that would address various types of lodging houses and specifically allow for more transparency and community engagement prior to a permit being issued. The ordinance includes text change and definition amendments to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Article 30, defining and establishing special use permit requirements for lodging houses. Lodging houses include short-term rentals, bed and breakfasts, boarding homes, hostels, vacation homes, and corporate housing. They are to be included in the single-family 7, SF9, 12, 18, Estate District, and H districts. All of this is to allow for community input and transparency in the process before a permit is issued versus after the fact with no community input. This is for your consideration tonight. We are here tonight so you can provide feedback and request any changes with adoption at a future meeting. The special use permit section of the ordinance addresses uses that are in general conformance with the master plan of the city and containing such requirements and safeguards as are necessary to protect adjoining property. A special use permit is an additional use that may be allowed on a case-by-case basis and is in addition to the basic zoning classification of the property. These requests require an affirmative vote by City Council after a public hearing and proper notice, and after recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The proposed amendment is to establish special use permit requirements for lodging houses. So included in your packet is the redlined version of the proposed changes to the entire SUP. The new section is being added to the end of the SUP chapter as section 12-30-19, lodging houses. So really, this is what we're looking at right now. Should be like the last 2 pages of that redline version. This slide shows the language proposed for the new section incorporating lodging houses into the SUP. Lodging houses would only be allowed in single-family residential districts and the H district. Lodging houses would be required to pay hot tax, which is hotel occupancy tax, to the city. The SUP requirement allows for notification for public input, transparency, and neighborhood involvement. With the SUP, you can add conditions relating to, but not limited to, items such as subletting, signage, parking, outdoor usage, adjacency of housing, hours of operation, no events or parties, no commercial activity. Again, this allows for neighborhood input. Each case is considered on its own merits. It strives to protect neighborhood integrity and maintain the neighborhood oasis pillar of Vision 2040. For the SGRs, this will work in tandem with the current permit process in place. The SUP will be required, and then an annual permit will still be required for the STR. The proposed amendments to the special use permit involve updating the uses allowed in certain residential districts, in particular by adding the use of a lodging house. A lodging house will be defined as the rental of any single-family residence or its residential structure or a portion of a single-family residence or residential structure, including but not limited to pools, garages, and outdoor accessory structures for a period of less than 30 days. This term includes, but is not limited to, a bed and breakfast, a boarding home or hostel, a vacation home, short-term rental, or corporate housing. The term does not include a unit that is used for non-residential purpose, including an educational, retail, restaurant, banquet space, or even event center purpose or other commercial purposes and similar use, a hotel, residence hotel, a place for residence or use as a licensed healthcare or assisted living facility licensed by the state, a parsonage on the premise of a church, mosque, or synagogue, or a commercial storage facility. The uses are limited to the following zoning districts with an SUP. As we mentioned before, single-family estate district, single-family 18, single-family 12, single-family 9, 7, and in the case of the historic district, when part of a PD for single-family development or mixed-use development. This does not include live-work units. These residential districts were chosen because they are single-family detached units and not attached. This provides the neighbors some separation from the proposed transient nature of the lodging house use, while the mixed-use developments provide a separation of uses from ground floor to upper floors. So that's the difference between the live-work versus the mixed use. Mixed use, you have a separation of use. Live-work, it's one person on both floors. STRs and the regulations surrounding STRs have evolved, and adding them to the SUP process is one more step in that evolution. Again, a big complaint from neighbors is that they have no say in having an STR in their neighborhood currently. They are notified after the STR has been approved. The ordinance has been designed to provide a balance between meeting the desires of the owner occupants to share their homes on an intermittent basis and providing protection for neighboring properties. The proposed changes are a continuation of that balance. The SUP process allows for more public involvement. It would require property owners within 200 feet of the property in question for notification, a courtesy notice for property owners within 800 feet, a public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Commission and at the City Council meeting, making the process more transparent. This gives neighbors an opportunity to engage and provide input in the process, just like any other zoning case before a permit is issued, because these uses are not traditional single-family uses. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval of the special use permit ordinance text amendments. Again, this is for your consideration tonight. We are here tonight so you can provide feedback and request any changes with adoption at a future meeting. That is the end of my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Agenda item 10 is the public hearing, so the public hearing is open, and we do have persons signed up to speak, so let me read the instructions here. Persons wishing to speak during the public hearing must sign the register and list their address. You will be called to speak in the order you have registered. Public hearings are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Council, any questions for Ms. Paswell? Councilmember John June.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many other cities currently have the SUP for short-term rentals requirement?
I'm not sure exactly how many, but I know there are a few out there. Bob may have a better idea.
There are a number of cities. I have 3 cities that they have SUP. Okay. Plano and Dallas and Fort Worth have excluded, or currently have legislation to exclude any type of short-term rental in residential districts. So that's out there right now. They have not taken final action, but they have had those public hearings.
Okay, thank you. And the it's great that we're trying to go ahead and get more, I guess, the public aware, involved with the process. So explain to me,
yes, sir,
if this goes forward,
Mm-hmm.
In the past, how the process would have been so that people will know how it's going to be changed. In other words, if the public input, right, we get the public input, and how's that going to affect the process?
Okay, so currently you just have an application form to fill out. If you meet all the criteria, then it's just a procedural staff approval process. The biggest change that will happen is that this would be treated just like a zone change request. So you would have to fill out an application. We would send out letters to property owners within 200 feet, with a response sheet, and then property owners within 800 feet, just like we would do with every other zone change request. There'd be a sign on the property. So it's definitely a more formal public hearing process. And you would have, just like tonight, if someone would want to speak, they'd have the opportunity to come up to the podium and speak at P&Z or City Council and state their opinions on the proposed STR use.
Okay. What about the fee-wise? Is there any changes that the applicant going forward might see?
Yes, sir. So the special use permit process does require a fee. I believe the fee is $500 plus $25 an acre. So roughly you're looking at probably $525 just for the zoning process portion of it. If someone goes through this process and gets approved, then they'd have to fill out a permit, just like you would with any other type of zoning. You get your zoning, then you'd have to get your permits for the other things. So the permit, I believe, is $50 for the STRs.
Okay, so they'll see about $525 increase.
Yes, sir.
And then, did I see it somewhere? Is this going to be yearly application with?
So the zoning is a one-time thing, but the permit, just as it is now, would basically remain the same. We might have to tweak it just a little bit, but the permit itself is a yearly renewal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Mary, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
Appreciate your willingness to guide us through this and help us understand. Question, what would happen to our current STR permit holders? What does that process look for them? What does that look like for them?
Right. So if we were to approve the ordinance this evening, we would send forth the written administration part of it next month. So what we have talked about is sending out letters to all the current SDR owners and saying, okay, this is the new process that you would have to go through. And we would kind of, have a meeting with them and kind of walk them through that process, just like we do with any other person that requests a zoning change. So if they wanted to continue having an STR, we could guide them through that process.
Would that change happen virtually like immediately? They would need to start going through that process, or would it be through the end of their existing permit?
So I believe the earliest permit renewals that we have are in February sometime. So it's like any zone change, it's about a 60-day process. So we were trying to talk to them as soon as possible and just kind of walk them through the process of how long it would take so that they have enough time to start the process if they did not want to have their STR interrupted.
Then one final question. I know we've had an issue in the past with having like non-permitted STRs in the city, and what would does that change anything as far as like if someone is let's say we pass this ordinance and somebody's operating a short-term rental that has not gone through the zoning process and not gone through the permitting process, does anything change as far as like enforcement or fines or anything like that because it's zoning versus a permit?
Right. So the zoning fines are quite more extensive than just a typical fine. I believe it's up to $2,000 a day if you have a zoning violation.
Okay. Thank you very much for that information. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Councilmember John Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you recall how many current short-term rental permits are given?
We have 10 currently.
10, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
If there are no other questions, we have one person signed up to speak. I would request Gary Tunnell to come forward. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Will do. Thank you. My name is Gary Tunnell, 316 Crooked Tree Court, Coppell, Texas. And thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight. Most of you know that I've done several presentations over the last many years, part of the CRDC and other things. But I'm president also of my Stonemead Estates HOA, which is right across the street. I'm also the founder and chairman of the Coppell HOA Council of Officers. So I wanted to, this is kind of an ongoing thing every time HOA groups get together, either in my HOA or our others, and that's probably the most popular topic in the meeting that we had on March 4th of this year. Just to follow up on this, just so some of you already know it or not, but back 2 years ago when we had a lot of conversations about this, I surveyed all the officers of the HOAs that I had on my database, 336, and I asked them about 6 or 7 yes or no kind of questions, assessing what their impression was of short-term rentals. Most people weren't really not aware of the things that the council was entertaining, so I gave every one of those the copies of that so that they could be educated. We got a significant number of responses to my surveys, and the majority, about 2/3 of the majority, said they would do everything they could to not allow short-term rentals in their HOA. So there's a lot of strong opinions from the officers and the residents of HOAs about those. And then after I got those surveys, it was unbiased when it went out. I did submit it here, turned it in to the city secretary. at the time, so you should have a copy of it. If you need another copy, I'll be happy to do that. It was more related to short-term rentals, not this particular amendment, but on behalf of my HOA and the majority of the people in the council, they're in agreement or for the proposed amendment. Let's see. Oh, yeah, on the verification part of it, it came up quite a bit with many of the people. I just said, okay, during the application process, how do we tell the city that our HOA does not allow short-term rentals? Okay, it didn't appear there was a process there. So one of the things I would offer is myself or the council of HOAs to ask them to have some written procedure of notifying the council, or not the council, but the city of changes to the bylaws. I went door to door with a petition, not a petition, a proxy to change our bylaws. We had to have 2/3. I've got basically 88 out of 89 homes in favor of an amendment to ban short-term rentals in my HOA. So that just gives you a flavor of people's feelings towards the HOAs in their neighborhood. And the conversation always comes up is, well, what happens if it goes to the city, it's approved, and people move in, now we're stuck with it. It's against our bylaws, but we don't even know that is until after the fact. So anything we can do, not just for 200 feet, but HOAs in addition to just the near neighbors, I think would be greatly appreciated. I'm personally a short-term rental owner. I'm part of a group of people that own 14 short-term rentals, but it's in recreational areas around Canyon Lake. So I understand the need for short-term rentals in the case of that, but I ask you to keep the citizens aware of what's going on with the zoning changes. And just as my last little final comment over here, when it comes to short-term rentals in the city of Coppell, I realize there's a need for people to stay in a place for a short-term rental here in Coppell. There's already short-term rental method that I'm very much in favor of, and it's called extended stay hotels. Humor. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, City Council. Take care.
Thank you very much. If there are no other questions from the council, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing and approve agenda item number 10. Do we anything else? Council member Don Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move to close the public hearing and approve, where's my agenda?
Hold on a second. Was this advertised for tonight so they can approve it tonight if they choose?
Okay, yes.
If they choose.
I move to close the public hearing and approve item number 10.
Any seconds? Councilmember Markell. Any discussions? I understand City Attorney wanted to say something?
Yes, we'll bring back an ordinance because this is zoning, so we'll bring back the ordinance that you approved tonight. We wanted to approve this in case there's some additions or changes, those kinds of things, and then we'll bring back an ordinance, much like we did for the zoning case on the consent agenda, just so you understand.
Okay. Any other discussions from the council members? Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a question. I know that, in the presentation, it kind of outlined the almost like annual, like look that we were taking at the permitting process and doing that. If there were to be something that came up, with this being zoning versus a permitting process, and we needed to amend this, would that be a similar process where that would come up, we would have to redo the zoning? So I just want to see what's the difference between
Yes, sir.
making changes in the permitting process versus going through the zoning process?
So like any zoning, if you want to make a change to the actual text in the zoning ordinance, we would bring it back through P and Z and back before you again to city council. Yes, sir.
Excellent. But it's as simple as going through that process again,
Mhm.
presenting that, and then us voting. I just want to make sure that that was
Yes, sir.
all out there and everybody knew what that meant. So.
Yeah. So any changes, we would just come back before you like we did with this one.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have a question for Mary. You had mentioned the existing members or existing people who are holding permits have 60 days to change.
Well, it's roughly a 60-day process to go through before you would apply, you would go through Planning and Zoning Commission, and then there's typically a 30-day lag time and you'd come before City Council.
Do you see any problem, foresee any issues with the existing people who are holding permits not fulfilling their zoning request within that time frame?
No, because we're at what, month 5? They probably have like another 8 months.
Okay.
To get it together.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Councilmember John June.
Just following up, I know you said we have about 10. Does that, when you said they have about 8 months, are they all pretty much on the same time frame as
Yes,
to?
sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the majority of them are like February, and then there might be a couple the next month.
Okay. But they will be notified with sufficient time to go through the P&Z and?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right,
Thank you. Any other discussions from the council members? If not, all in favor?
Longina, Hosta Smith, Carol Neville's, John, Matthew Hill in favor, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item number 11, City Secretary Ashley Owens will read to the record, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item number 11 is consider review of Aaron Bogdanowitz's appointment to the Smart City Board pursuant to Section 2-11-2 of the Code of Ordinances. So Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I do not have a formal presentation. The information that you all needed to see is within the memo that was attached to your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have about this item.
Councilmember, any questions for City Secretary? Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just so you guys know, and just wanted to kind of address everybody. So I reached out to Erin and spoke to her. I don't know if anybody else had a chance to speak with her, but just so she kind of filled me in on what was happening. So, you know, we went through the policy defining excused, unexcused absences. I believe that was last year. I think we
Yes, sir.
went through that process. And so 2 of the 3 absences were deemed excused, and they were work-related. She, you know, is an attorney, and what she told me was she told them exactly when the committee or when the board scheduled all of their meetings for the year, she immediately informed them that there were going to be conflicts. So there is 1 excused absence in there, but 2 of them were told, the staff liaison was made aware of those. I know it is our policy, if there are 3 absences, it does have to come before us, but I felt like sharing that context based on the conversation that I had with her was important for the council to know that. So, you know, she said, and just a little bit of background too, she's been on the board for 3 years, and she's never missed a meeting before that, so it's unfortunate that those kind of came up. And she was at trial and, you know, told them ahead of time, and so obviously, you know, she conveyed to me that she enjoys serving on the board, would love to continue to do that, but it's unfortunate that this came up. So that's a little background on that for the council.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember John June.
Just to follow up on what, Kevin, the comments that you made, I mean, she does want to serve, right? So, and it only came up because of the I guess our rule that had, regardless whether it was excused or not, if there are 3 in a year, then it'll come to the council. Other than that, right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Wait, what was the direction you were asking for?
Yeah, so we have two options. That's what I see here. Motion to retain Ms. Bodovich appointment, and that's option number one. Option number two is motion to dismiss Ms. Bodovich appointment and declare the position vacant. So if we have no other further discussion or questions, we can have motion. We have Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to move to retain Ms. Erin Bogdanowicz on the Smart Cities Board.
We have a second from Councilmember Dawn Carroll. All in favor? Any other discussions or questions? If not, you have a question? Okay. Okay. So all in favor?
Long, Kenosa Smith, Carol Nevels, John Matthew Hill in favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 12 is City Manager's Report, Project Updates, Future Agendas, and Direction from Work Session. City Manager Mike Land.
Mayor and Council, from work session this evening, the presentations during the budget process from our service organizations will be Children's Advocacy Center, Christian Community Action, Coppell Community Corral, Coppell Community Theater, Coppell Historical Museum, and Friends of the Coppell Nature Park. So that's the direction we received this evening going forward. As far as, I hope I can finish this. As far as just some other items, Threet Park improvements. Again, construction is expected to begin in mid-June. The entire park will be closed because of the size of the project. Resident notifications were delivered on Monday, May the 8th. Estimated completion date is for mid-fall. The Duck Pond Park improvements construction is expected to begin next week and expected to take about 8 months. The Moore Road Boardwalk, the project is still on schedule. The drilling of the piers is finished, and now they're working on the sidewalk paving on the western side of the trail and the storm drain. South Beltline work on the median paving as well as pouring of sidewalks and trails is going on. Phase 3 for the improvements from Hackberry to 635, probably starting at the end of the month. Panel replacements on East Sandy Lake Road are still ongoing. The striping project continues with the Moore Road. If you haven't been down Moore Road, they look really nice. The Moore Road bike path has been restriped and the work on Freeport as well. And I'd like to report as of this evening, we crossed a one threshold or one hurdle on HB 5089. That's the destination sourcing bill. It did not make it out of calendars. So therefore, at least as a formal presentation to the House, there will not be something for them to vote on. Now we just have to watch for if there's any amendments to any bills, but it has to be associated with the bill that makes sense. And so far, they're not really, I say that, and I should laugh when it's talking about down in state legislature making sense. Anyway, hey, I can say that. I'm not elected. So anyway, so that's the only thing that we have to watch for. So that's my report.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Mayor and Council reports on recent and upcoming events. I do have two reports to read. The month of May is Building Safety Month. Building Safety Month is an international campaign to raise awareness about building safety. Building codes protect communities from disasters like fires, weather-related events, and structural collapse, and are our best way to protecting homes, offices, schools, and businesses. Have questions about building safety? The City of Coppell's Chief Building Official will be at Ace Hardware in Coppell from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on May 20th. Come join us to learn more about building safety. Next item is National Public Works Week is May 21st to 27. Public Works Week honors these first responders who connects us through infrastructure and service, enhancing the quality of life for our community. Coppell's Public Works team has partnered with the Cozy Library to host Public Works Story Time at 10:15 a.m. on Wednesday, May 24th at the library. Youngsters will have the opportunity to check out Public Works equipment in the library parking lot after story time. Any other council members have any other reports or upcoming events to report? Councilmember John June.
This is an event, right? That's coming up?
Event, yes.
Yeah. I just want to announce that the, Coppell Arts Center, since it's been built, we have been trying to bring a variety of performances there. And upcoming on May 28th is Korean traditional performance artists actually coming from Korea. There's 18 performers coming. These are performers well known in Korea that you probably would pay high dollars to see them, but they are bringing the performance here to Art Center, and they're looking forward to having a great performance here, as well as having one maybe every year. So hopefully they can support that and check it out and see all the performance of Korean traditional performance.
Thank you.
March 28th. I'm sorry, May 28th. May 28th. And in fact, all of you have been invited, and I just need your confirmation. You and your spouse, guest, is invited, so just let me know, and so I could get the tickets as well.
Thank you. Any other events to report? If not, the next item is 14, public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. Are there any public service announcement from council members? Seeing none, I move to agenda item 15, necessary action from executive session. There was no executive session today, so there is no necessary action. With that said, I'm moving to agenda item 16. There being no further business before this council, we adjourned at 8:52. Thank you. Congratulations.